I woke up with the worst news of my life.
When Sarah set up her lemonade stand that morning, if someone had told her Elon Musk would pass by and be the reason why her whole story would change, she probably would have doubted it. But Elon Musk did what shocked everyone, and you'll soon find out in this video. On that hot Tuesday in the park, young Sarah had set up a small lemonade stand.
Well, a sweet sight in Aurora today. Some young philanthropists set up a lemonade stand in their neighborhood off Iliff and Salida for a fantastic cause.
Yeah, it's a brother and sister duo. They get out there at 6 every morning to sell lemonade and to raise some money.
With its rickety table, faded cloth, and mismatched cups. Her hand-drawn cardboard sign, "Lemonade for Food," hung fluttering in the breeze above her stand, while the jar beside her for donations contained only several coins and one dented can of green beans. Despite the heat and her oversized cap slipping over her eyes, Sarah stood tall, proud, and determined, next to an empty park bench. To anyone passing by, she looked like any other kid spending a summer afternoon outside. But Sarah's eyes, serious and focused, showed something else. Behind her smile, she was worried because she heard her parents talking in low voices at night and saw how tired her dad looked at dinner. Sarah overheard her mother's whisper of skipping dinner herself so that Sarah and her baby brother might eat. And it was then that Sarah had an idea. She had noticed on some of the TV shows kids running lemonade stands and selling lemonade for spare change. Sarah didn't want spare change. She wanted food. She surmised that if she could sell lemonade in exchange for canned beans...
A young girl in Scottsboro is raising money the old-fashioned way, with a lemonade stand. The cause, though, not what you would expect.
Rice in boxes, or even a loaf of bread. Then her family, and maybe other families, could be helped. At first, the reaction was lukewarm. The people smiled courteously as they passed along, several of them stopping to say how ingenious it was, but none actually buying. That didn't faze Sarah. Every evening, she made her count. A dented can of corn here, a half-full jar of peanut butter there. She was proud of each item she picked up. But as the days wore on and her supply of lemonade dwindled, not as many people seemed to notice her stand. That afternoon, as she sat and watched the park's usual stream of joggers and dog walkers pass without stopping, Sarah sighed. Maybe it had been a silly idea after all. That same afternoon, a homeless man had wandered by, his clothes worn and his face tired. Sarah noticed him hesitating near the curb, his gaze fixed on the lemonade, but his hands empty. Without thinking twice, she poured a cup and handed it to him.
We were just selling lemonade, and the car drove up, and the girl hopped out. I asked if she would like lemonade. She said yeah. Then she grabbed the chip jar, went to the passenger seat of the car, and the car drove away.
"Here, it's on me," she said with a kind smile. The man looked at her surprised, then mumbled a quiet "thank you" before taking a long sip and walking away. Sarah didn't think much of it. It was just the right thing to do, something her parents had always taught her. Just then, a man in a baseball cap and sunglasses strolled by. He stopped and looked down at her sign, probably longer than most. But that was the man who was set to change her whole story. That man was Elon Musk. Elon had seen the interaction with the homeless man from a distance, and it struck him deeply. Elon Musk was coincidentally in the park that day. He had not planned to visit this small town, but made it a short stop on his way to a facility located nearby where Tesla was testing a new prototype of its solar-powered charging station. As usual, he was running with a tight schedule, juggling consecutive meetings, phone calls, and brainstorming sessions. But on the drive there, his assistant had casually said something odd about the town's economy. The local factory that was supposed to be the lifeblood of this town had just recently closed down, leaving hundreds without work. Musk had always been fascinated by how technology could transform ailing towns. So he took a small detour, stretched his legs, and observed the area before his meeting. Wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses to avoid drawing attention, Musk strolled through the neighborhood park, taking in the quiet surroundings. It was then he spotted Sarah's lemonade stand.
This 8-year-old Ohio girl is almost squeezed out of the lemonade business. Happened last weekend in Alliance when some vendors complained about her during a local food festival.
At first, he almost walked past it, dismissing it as the kind of quaint childhood venture he'd seen countless times before. But something made him stop. The sign caught his eye. Lemonade for food. It wasn't the usual 50 cents a cup spiel. He watched for a moment as Sarah poured lemonade into a paper cup for an elderly man, who handed her a small bag of rice in return. Intrigued, Musk approached, curious to know more about this unconventional business model. It reminded him of his childhood money-making projects, such as making candies and selling them door to door in South Africa. In that moment, Sarah's resourcefulness struck a chord with him. Sarah and her family were deeply rooted in their Christian faith, a cornerstone of their lives, even before hardships entered their story. From a young age, Sarah had been taught the importance of kindness, generosity, and trust in God, even when times were tough. Sundays were reserved for their small church, where her parents also often told her that faith was not just about going to church, but it was about living out what Jesus taught. Loving your neighbor, helping the poor, and giving to anyone in need without expecting anything in return. Her lemonade stand might be meager, but reflective of those values.
7-year-old Emery Johnson lost her mom Carly last month. It was a devastating event, and the family didn't have money to buy a tombstone. So Emery decided to sell lemonade to help pay for one.
When Sarah thought of the other families in her community struggling like hers, she couldn't help but feel compelled to do something. "We can't do everything," her mom often said, "but we can do something, and that's enough." However, their challenges tested their faith in ways they hadn't expected. Sarah's dad losing his job was a blow that shook their family to its core. Bills began to pile up, and the once comfortable dinners around the table turned into careful calculations of what they could afford. Her parents did their best to shield her and her siblings from the worst of it, but Sarah could see the strain in their prayers, the way her dad lingered a little longer in the garage, and the exhaustion etched on her mom's face after hours spent working extra shifts. "Why is this happening?" Sarah had asked one night, clutching her Bible. "Doesn't God care?" Her mom knelt beside her, brushing a tear from Sarah's cheek. "He cares more than we'll ever know," she whispered. Sometimes, faith means trusting, even when it's hard to see the plan. It was a lesson Sarah would carry with her, one she'd pour into every cup of lemonade she sold, hoping to make even a small difference in the world around her. "Lemonade for food, huh?" he said, crouching beside the stand. "That's an interesting idea. How's business?" Sarah looked up, a little surprised by the question. "It's okay, I guess," she replied, shrugging. "Some people stop, but not a lot." The man picked up one of the plastic cups on her table, turning it over in his hands like he was examining something important. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "most people just sell lemonade for money."
Maya aims to raise money from her lemonade stand, aptly named Lemonade for Lunch. This initiative follows hot on the heels of her first lemonade stand venture.
"Why food?" Sarah hesitated for a moment. She didn't usually share her story with strangers, but there was something about him that felt trustworthy. "My dad lost his job," she admitted softly. "And food is expensive. I thought maybe I could help my family. And, if we have extra, give it to other people who need it too." He nodded, a small smile playing on his lips, though his expression was unreadable behind his sunglasses. That's a pretty awesome idea, Sarah. Her eyes widened. How do you know my name? He pointed to her lemonade stand, where her name was scrawled in block letters on another sign. Sarah's lemonade stand. Oh, she said, giggling. The man stood and reached for his phone. Mind if I take a picture of your stand? Sarah hesitated. I guess that's okay. As he sipped the lemonade, the man murmured, "This is really good." A couple of passers-by began to take notice, their curious glances lingering as they whispered to one another. It was as if they recognized him, though Sarah couldn't imagine why. Soon the whispers grew louder and a small crowd started to gather. The man seemed to sense it, his shoulders tensing as he handed Sarah a folded bill, more than enough for the lemonade, and leaned closer. "Hey," he said in a low voice. "Can I get your parents' contact info? I've got some ideas I'd like to share with them."
I'm drinking a cup of my pink lemonade.
Do you have a secret recipe?
Kinda, yeah. I was just selling lemonade at my dad's work. I was having a really fun time.
Sarah blinked, puzzled, but nodded, scribbling down her mom's phone number on a scrap of paper. She didn't fully understand why he wanted it, but he had been kind, so she handed it over. "Thanks," he said, slipping the paper into his pocket and standing. As soon as the audience recognized him, they said, "That's Elon Musk." He turned and left quickly as soon as someone gasped. Sarah sat there, wide-eyed and unsure of what had just happened, clutching the bill he'd left behind. That night, as Sarah sat at the kitchen table counting her meager earnings, a single can of soup and a box of spaghetti, her father's phone buzzed unexpectedly. The phone had been silent for weeks, especially since they'd cut off their internet service to save money. At first, he ignored it, assuming it was a telemarketer or a wrong number. But the calls didn't stop. Curious and slightly annoyed, he finally answered, his tone curt. What he heard on the other end, however, made him freeze. "Hello, Mr. Rodriguez. This is Emily from Elon Musk's office. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time." He hesitated, still processing the fact that someone from Elon Musk's office was actually calling. No, what's this about?" he stammered. "I'm reaching out because Elon saw something truly inspiring today," Emily continued. "He happened to come across your daughter, Sarah, at her lemonade stand, and he wanted to connect with you and your family."
In her first week, Emery's family tells WHNT she made $10,000, and Carly's tombstone will be donated. They say they're overwhelmed by the outpouring of kindness.
He was deeply moved by her creativity and resilience in the face of your family's struggles. Sarah's father's breath caught in his throat. "Wait, Elon Musk? You mean the Elon Musk?" He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He had heard of Musk, of course. Who hadn't? But to think that the billionaire behind Tesla and SpaceX was taking an interest in his family was almost too much to fathom. "That's right," Emily confirmed. "Elon was so impressed that he wanted to help. He's asking if he could meet with you and Sarah to discuss how he can support your family and even assist with some opportunities for Sarah's future." The room was silent for a moment. Sarah's father glanced over at his daughter, still engrossed in her task, unaware of the magnitude of the conversation unfolding. His heart pounded. "What kind of help are we talking about?" he asked, the disbelief still heavy in his voice. "Well, Elon would like to talk about it in person." His mind raced as he processed this news, and then slowly, the overwhelming weight of it all began to sink in. I don't even know what to say," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. This is beyond anything we ever imagined." Emily's voice softened. "Elon's team will take care of all the details. We just wanted to make sure you knew how much he admires Sarah's determination, and he wants to do everything he can to support her." Sarah's father, still in shock, turned to look at Sarah, who had paused and was now staring at him, her eyes wide with confusion. "Someone's looking for you," he whispered, the enormity of the moment finally hitting him. Emily's voice cut through his reverie. "We'll arrange a meeting soon, Mr. Rodriguez. You'll hear from us shortly." With that, the call ended, leaving him holding the phone in disbelief. As Sarah's father slowly set the phone down, his hands trembling, he looked at his daughter, who was still trying to process what he had said. The next few moments felt like a dream. Sarah's lemonade stand, her act of pure kindness, had led to an extraordinary twist in their lives.
A group of kids in upstate New York held a lemonade stand to raise money for animals the storm left in need.
The man in the baseball cap turned out to be Elon Musk, though Sarah wouldn't know until that much later. Sarah didn't know much about him, only that he was some rich guy her dad occasionally mentioned. But when she saw the tweet he'd sent to his millions of followers, her world changed overnight. Saw an 8-year-old trading lemonade for food to help her family and others. Brilliant kid. Let's show her some love. Within hours, Sarah's story went viral. To her, he was just another passerby who seemed kind enough to stop and ask questions about her stand. Musk, however, had been deeply moved by what he saw. A young girl, barely old enough to write neatly, leveraging her creativity and determination to support her struggling family. It reminded him of his own journey, from selling homemade chocolate Easter eggs as a child in South Africa to later overcoming repeated failures in the early days of Tesla and SpaceX. The subsequent events demonstrated the ability of social media to spread simple but powerful stories. In just a few hours, Sarah's lemonade stand went viral online. Donations started to come in from all around the nation. Some offered to mail food and supplies straight to her home, while others sent money through digital payment applications. A story about perseverance in the face of adversity was picked up by a local news station and aired.
Young neighbor to help the victims of that fire in Northeast Fresno, Kaylee Cross started a lemonade stand to raise money for her own dog kennel. But after seeing her neighbor's house go up in flames, she decided to step in and help.
Soon after, national media sites began to portray Sarah's lemonade stand as a grassroots effort to combat hunger in the community. Her inventiveness was contrasted by commentators with that of other inspirational people, such as Kane Monroy, the young man who made a cardboard arcade that went viral and eventually sparked a global campaign to help young business owners. Sarah's tale struck a chord because it was straightforward but impactful, serving as an example that even a child's little endeavor can have a big impact and bring about change. More than just a sign of hope, Sarah's lemonade shop in her town inspired a larger discussion on food insecurity and community assistance. Motivated by her initiative, nearby companies started holding food drives, and neighbors banded together to establish a pantry for low-income families. Even though her story was made public by Musk's tweet, the nation was enthralled by Sarah's unwavering spirit. One journalist commented, "She serves as confirmation that small acts of bravery frequently lead to the solution of large problems." Sarah saw what began as a straightforward lemonade stand grow into a movement she never would have thought possible, one that changed her town and motivated many others to follow suit. However, the story did not stop there. A small lemonade stand that Sarah set up to help those in need was the beginning of something spectacular. A bystander posted her account on social media, and it quickly gained popularity.
Welcome back. A little girl in Ohio is proving she has a big heart. Her lemonade stand for charity, it just keeps on growing. Here's ABC's Whit Johnson.
After the story of the young girl with a huge heart was reported by news outlets, kids all around the nation were immediately motivated to follow in her footsteps. With signs like "Lemonade for Food" or "Sip to Support," lemonade stalls started to appear in neighborhoods all throughout the country. The goal was very clear: to assist individuals who are food insecure. Some kids donated to local food pantries by pooling their winnings. Others donated their packed meals and canned items to community centers and shelters after bartering their lemonade for them. Families posted pictures of their stands on social media and tagged them with #LemonadeForFood, which sparked a national awareness campaign. Schools also paid attention. The concept was welcomed by educators and administrators, who set up lemonade stand fundraisers on school property. These incidents turned into teaching moments about empathy, cooperation, and the power of little deeds. Some schools even hosted contests to see which class could raise the most funds or collect the most food donations, fostering a spirit of friendly competition for a good cause. There was no denying the impact. Sarah's campaign began as a single act of kindness.
A 6-year-old entrepreneur, Ishmael Ruiz, is pouring up his own lemonade in Bolingbrook to help his family and other kids like him.
And quickly expanded into a movement that brought individuals from all walks of life together. Participation started from local companies and community leaders, who matched donations and supplied materials for lemonade booths. Donations to food banks increased dramatically, enabling them to serve more families than ever before. Sarah unknowingly became a symbol of the strength of grassroots activism. She was asked to speak at neighborhood gatherings and was interviewed, but she remained constant in her humility and insisted that everyone could have an impact. Holding a glass of lemonade, she stated in one TV interview, "It's not about being perfect. Caring and doing what you can do with what you have is the key." At a time when many people felt helpless in the face of more significant societal issues, her narrative struck an important chord. It became an example that change often begins with a single, modest idea, executed with passion and tenacity, rather than with large-scale initiatives or gestures. And for Sarah, it all started with a straightforward lemonade stand. Sarah's family experienced an unexpected feeling of stability as a result of the amazing generosity of strangers. They had enough food in their cupboards for months, thanks to the contributions. In addition to attracting support for Sarah's lemonade stand, the media attention helped her father, who had been looking for a job non-stop since the factory shut down. One opportunity in particular stood out: a position at the recently constructed Tesla factory in a nearby town. Elon Musk personally stepped in to make sure her father's application was given top priority after learning about Sarah's family. The factory was an aspect of Musk's idea for a sustainable production system. Musk allegedly stated, "Anyone raising a kid this resourceful deserves a fair shot," during a meeting with his team. After a strenuous interview process, Sarah's father received an offer for the position of a technician at the factory to help assemble solar panels and electric vehicle parts. In addition to providing financial security, the job gave life greater purpose for Sarah's dad. He remarked, "This isn't just a paycheck, it's a chance to build something meaningful," considering the ways in which his work will improve renewable energy solutions.
Tesla factory workers in California are working so hard they're passing out on the production line, according to the Guardian newspaper.
Watching her dad walk out the door every morning to go to work with fresh energy, however, was the greatest reward for Sarah. The little lemonade stand had changed more than their family's fortune. It had redefined their destiny. Yet for Sarah, what made the experience most rewarding wasn't the help her own family had received, but the ability to share their newfound abundance with others. "Now we have enough to share," she said in an interview with a local reporter. "That's what I wanted all along." And her words struck a chord with every person who heard them. Days later, Sarah's story was still making headlines, inspiring countless others to believe in the power of small acts of kindness. Elon Musk, the man whose tweet had amplified her story to global proportions, returned to visit Sarah in person. This time, he didn't wear sunglasses or try to blend in. Instead, he arrived with a sleek, solar-powered lemonade stand he'd had custom-made just for her. The stand was state-of-the-art, equipped with an innovative cooling system to keep her lemonade fresh even during the hottest days, and prominently displayed an inscription.
Right, time now for the Uplifted 8. The stories are going to bring you some joy on this day.
Joy.
We like that.
We love some joy. We love some joy. All right, they say in life,
Yes.
when life gives you lemons, what do you make?
Lemonade.
Exactly right.
Innovation meets kindness. As he handed it over, Musk smiled and said, "You're the real entrepreneur here." Sarah beamed, her small hands gripping his firmly, humbled by the gesture. But Musk didn't stop there. Recognizing Sarah's natural knack for creativity and problem-solving, he announced that he would personally fund a scholarship for her education, ensuring that financial struggles would never limit her potential. "This world needs more thinkers and doers like Sarah," Musk remarked. He also revealed plans to integrate Sarah into Tesla's ecosystem when the time was right. As part of this initiative, Musk promised that she would be mentored by Tesla's renowned marketing team to nurture her entrepreneurial spirit. "One day," he told her, "you're going to inspire even more people, and I want Tesla to be part of that journey." For Sarah, the opportunities were overwhelming, but she was excited for the future. The little girl who had started with a cardboard sign and a pitcher of lemonade now had the world rooting for her. Sometimes, it only takes one person to notice a small act of kindness to spark a movement. For Sarah, that person happened to be Elon Musk. But what really stunned the world, though, was her unrelenting tenacity and large heart. Do you think Sarah deserves all that she got from Musk? And if you were Musk, would you help such a little girl or just mind your own business? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.
Finally tonight, the story of a man on a never-ending mission of kindness and how it's changing lives.
A lot of kids in America want to run a lemonade stand, but not many feel like they have to. 7-year-old Emery Johnson started her business a few weeks ago after a terrible nightmare morning.
I woke up with the worst news of my life.
When Sarah set up her lemonade stand that morning, if someone had told her Elon Musk would pass by and be the reason why her whole story would change, she probably would have doubted it. But Elon Musk did what shocked everyone, and you'll soon find out in this video. On that hot Tuesday in the park, young Sarah had set up a small lemonade stand.
Well, a sweet sight in Aurora today. Some young philanthropists set up a lemonade stand in their neighborhood off Iliff and Salida for a fantastic cause.
Yeah, it's a brother and sister duo. They get out there at 6 every morning to sell lemonade and to raise some money.
With its rickety table, faded cloth, and mismatched cups. Her hand-drawn cardboard sign, "Lemonade for Food," hung fluttering in the breeze above her stand, while the jar beside her for donations contained only several coins and one dented can of green beans. Despite the heat and her oversized cap slipping over her eyes, Sarah stood tall, proud, and determined, next to an empty park bench. To anyone passing by, she looked like any other kid spending a summer afternoon outside. But Sarah's eyes, serious and focused, showed something else. Behind her smile, she was worried because she heard her parents talking in low voices at night and saw how tired her dad looked at dinner. Sarah overheard her mother's whisper of skipping dinner herself so that Sarah and her baby brother might eat. And it was then that Sarah had an idea. She had noticed, on some of the TV shows, kids running lemonade stands and selling lemonade for spare change. Sarah didn't want spare change. She wanted food. She surmised that if she could sell lemonade in exchange for canned beans,
A young girl in Scottsboro is raising money the old-fashioned way with a lemonade